of the Park City Board of Education, we will start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Yes, okay.
The board will adjourn to session for the purpose of a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. And a strategy session to discuss.
I make a motion to go into closed for reasons stated.
We have potential litigation to that.
Yes, and potential issues.
Who seconded? I seconded.
Mary agree, yes.
Nick, yes.
Yeah, I'm Gallagher, yes. Kathleen, yes. Susan Bold, yes.
our agenda, and we're gonna start with Kim and the Student Service Award. Kim here, there she is.
Hi, everyone. So, I'm all my little accoutrements here. My name is Kim McGuire, and I am president of the McGuire Family Foundation, which is here in Park City. In 2018, my daughter Katie created the Park City Student Service Award because she had attended her sister's graduation ceremony earlier in the year and had said, gosh, I see all these kids being honored and recognized, but I do this incredible volunteer service with all these students and nobody seems to see them. Can we do something about that? So we marched up to meet the superintendent and Roger or Bobby, and they greenlit the program, and Katie ran it until she graduated and went off to college. And now I'm trying to step into the very large shoes and run it for her. So I am super thankful for Lindsay Huntsman's partnering with us, continued partnership with us. And Jen Billis is here today in place of Ingrid Whitley, who's the head of the Park City Education Foundation. And the young woman I have standing on my left is Abigail Bailey, and she graduated in June, class of 2025 from Park City High School. And she was the winner of the Park City Student Service Award. And Abigail, unfortunately, because of all the different changes that were happening, got a soft launch and didn't get properly thanked or awarded or recognized for the incredible work she did. So today is an opportunity for us to say thank you to Abigail from the Ed Foundation, the school district, the McGuire Family Foundation, and the community at large for the incredible amount of service that she has done. I'll just tell you the tiny little bit I know about Abigail. Over 4 years of high school, she completed over 468 hours of community service. That is an extraordinary amount of volunteer service. And in her senior year, she did over 260 hours. Now, by the time most kids get to their senior year of high school, they're kind of checked out, right? With the best intentions of the world, they get senioritis. And if they're doing volunteer service, it's maybe something on the side, maybe with their family or something like this. But there are kids in Park City, my daughter Katie knew it, who are extraordinary, like Abigail, who don't just do community service because it's something to tick off in order to get into college. They do it because it's in them. It's in their heart, it's in their soul, it's in their being. And you are a remarkable young woman, and you are one of, I think we've had 6 remarkable students since 2019. And it just, I think it's really incredible in Park City where kids sometimes don't get recognized for the things that they do that are really good, to be able to stand up and say, way to go and well done. So way to go and well done, Abigail. So we have for you a simple name. Abigail did get a graduation cord. So all the seniors got a graduation cord. There were 5 seniors this year who did 50+ hours of community service in their senior year. Many of them did over 200. Right behind Abigail were 2 students who did 335 hours. So it's pretty incredible, not their senior year, but in the 4 years of high school. We had 14 kids apply for the Student Service Award this year. It actually starts in grade 6 and goes all the way to grade 12. We get very few kids in the younger group, which we're hoping to change over time. Our family would love to partner with the schools, or with teachers or with students to provide service opportunities for them, because that's where kids really grow and get to know who they are. And they make these wonderful connections in the community. And then those kids, those seniors, or those high schoolers, they served 29 nonprofits, mostly in Utah, but also globally. So we have these balloons to say thank you. In addition to the cords you got, really flowers to say thank you to for you too. And then the thing about being the senior, overall senior winner, is that you get to make a donation of $1,000 to the nonprofit of your choice. So we have not yet scholarshiped the kids who do this work. We're sort of trying to figure out whether that's the right way to go. But for the last 6 years, what we have done is we've made a donation of $1,000 to the nonprofit of the Student's Choice. And this year, Abigail, you want to tell them about your choice?
Absolutely. So I have a long history of service starting from when I was very young. My family always put a lot of emphasis on service, so I always did it with my church organization, and then my brothers were in the Boy Scouts of America, so I was an honorary Boy Scout, even though I never actually received any badges. And then once I got into junior year, I decided that I wanted to do a service trip, and I ended up going on the HXP or humanitarian experience to Udon Thani, Thailand. And I really enjoyed that, but I wanted to do something more individual and with an adult group of people. So I asked my seminary teacher, Lisa Sipple, if I could go with her to Uganda to do medical humanitarian. And she allowed me to go with her and the organization that she goes with, the I Help Foundation, and they do global medical service in multiple places in South America and in Africa. And it was an amazing experience, and it's just incredible, and it puts so much perspective on the blessings that I have in my life, and it allows me to give a voice and represent people who normally don't have a voice. I just really love that. Yeah.
Awesome. Abigail is now a freshman at BYU, so I know these aren't the BYU colors. But could you just maybe share what service meant to you in high school? Why did you do what you did?
I love to work with my hands, and I also love to see visible results. And with service, you can really see the benefit that you give to your community, to other people. And it is a very fulfilling way to spend your time, especially when there's not as much emphasis on service in a scholastic setting as I would hope there to be. So it was very impactful for me. It allowed me to, again, give a voice to people. It allowed me to make a visible impact and learn from other cultures and other communities around the world, just because I also love culture and language. And so it's very interesting to see how other people act in their day-to-day life and how they are supported and built up by their communities.
I was gonna ask Lisa maybe to come up and give you just a little bit of history about IHELP, and also could you tell us about Abigail, because she is truly remarkable.
She is, I add to her sentiment that Kim. Remarkable. I got to know Abby 2 years ago at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is not a very lively time for kids to be awake, but on top of all her commitments of her AP classes and everything, she dedicated the early morning hour to her religious study, and that's very admirable today from a young woman. iHealth Foundation is located in Logan. It was started by an ER doctor that I happen to know, and he's had it going since 2009. It's gone different directions, but after COVID, he got a group together, and so we do medical work in Uganda, Liberia, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic. And Abby went with us to Uganda, and just to give you a little bit of an idea of what is a very common setting that we see is it's very usual to see a 16-year-old girl pregnant with an STD, UTI, malaria, and having to treat that, and also a respiratory infection. And we have our own pharmacy, and we had a couple of days where the pharmacist couldn't make it that we normally had. And Abby says, I'll jump in with no medical background. And it's very busy. We see about 300 patients a day, and that's just adults, and we can see up to 200 kids on top of that. And they are very malnutrition, and she worked with Utah State University, had a group that went with us that were up there health and nutrition department, and they are working with iHealth to expand, nutrition assessment for the young kids. And so she would get in and have a patient come up with a list of prescriptions and medications, and Abby, not having any idea of what an antibiotic or any of that is, just pulled out her phone, started Googling, started researching and looking up all the medications. And by the end of an 8-hour day, we were driving home and she's like, okay, I gave this medicine for this, I gave this. It was very impressive to do. And our bus rides would take, we look on a map and it would be 22 miles, and here going 22 miles is a half hour, and it would be 4.5 hours to get there because of traffic and everything else that we had to navigate as well. And she was just so patient and so always so happy, and just willing to do and jump in wherever she needed to be in. I just would refer to Abby as a wonderful covenant woman in leadership. She's gonna be remarkable, and the influence that she's gonna have just amongst children and amongst people her age, and to be able to mentor and be an example to that in society, to impact for good and for positive things is really, it's an honor for me and a privilege to know her.
Thank you.
Yeah. And in Jen.
So if I could just close out by saying thank you to Park City School District. Thank you to board, thank you to the superintendent, thank you to the Ed Foundation, thank you to the teachers. Young people today really need villagers. I spent 23 years living in Ireland, and I know what a village is like, which is why we chose to come to Park City when we moved to America. This village is turning out incredible humans like Abigail. But it happens because all of you are there every day with these kids. So on behalf of our family foundation and my children in particular, thank you. Really appreciate everything you do to make these kids, their future possible, and their current present, fruitful and hopeful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mindy.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. So I am Missy Shavrin, the preschool coordinator, and first I just want to say thank you so much for how much you guys support preschool. This year's motto is "We are one Park City," and in my heart, and I think across all elementaries, that starts at 3-year-old. 3-year-olds is really where we start impacting these kids. We set the foundation and we start to set these kids up for their future. So just to give you a little bit of new things that we're doing in preschool. First, we have our 4-year-olds for the first time are going to specialists. They're doing library PE, music and coding for 20 minutes, Monday through Thursday. That's about as max as they can do. I joined them for PE once, and about at 18 minutes, there was more tears than smiles. But they loved it for that 18 minutes. And it allows them really to integrate within the elementary schools, really step into the other side of the buildings, get to know the specialists, and allow them, when they do go to kindergarten, they already know 4 teachers. So it's just that less scary moment for them. We also have had the 3-year-old expansion. Our 3-year-old is now running 5 days a week, full day, with after school care every single day, Monday through Friday. So I know that parents appreciate it. We have a full program for those 3-year-olds from 8:15 in the morning till 6 p.m. So we're really supporting the community that way. Instructional support, we have a wonderful instructional support teacher, coach. She's right back here, Jen Schwindeman. She should probably shrinking back there, embarrassed. She has been amazing helping all 4 of our preschools and helping the teachers grow and learn in their craft. We are starting a curriculum adoption process. We are working on adopting a curriculum so that every single preschool across all 4 elementaries will be teaching the same thing in every single classroom. And then lastly, we started this year teaching the same standards in all classrooms the same month. So we've all agreed that for October, we're all going to focus on this standard. So all of our kids are getting the same curriculum every single month, and we're really focused and growing together. And this is allowing us also to start PLCs, a lot of preschool teachers, so that we can learn from each other. Our current enrollment, last year we were at 153 students. This year we've grown to 215 students. That is a 40% growth from last year. If you notice in the bottom, our MLL students, our 3-year-olds are at 15% and our 4-year-olds are at 20% MLL students. Our after-school preschool care, you can see the numbers at our top. Jeremy Ranch is our largest at 32 preschool students are receiving after-school care. And then the cost at the bottom is right there. I'm not going to read it to you. Yeah, go for it. Next slide. And then tuition support, I wanted to talk about a little bit. Preschool, we have a lot of different ways that we help families out. Currently, we have around 13 students receiving tuition because of special education. 10 students benefit from sibling discounts. 5 students receive tuition discount because they receive speech services. 17 students are receiving upward scholarship and free and reduced rate. Upward scholarship is through either Summit County or Park City. That's through the counties. And then we have 33 students are receiving free and reduced lunch. So that is, they are only paying $125 per month. So in total, we have 65 of our 214 students are receiving some type of tuition support, which is around 31% of our student body in preschool. Just a little bit about history of preschool for the past 4 years. In 2022, we had our 4-year-olds were only Monday through Thursday for full day, costing about $500. And our 3-year-olds were only 2 days a week for a half day at $150. At 2024 to 2025, we grew a little bit and we included Friday for our 4-year-olds. And then this year we really went full expansion. So Monday through Friday, we follow the exact same schedule as our K through 12. So same calendar, same day schedule. So parents, when they drop off their kids that are in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, are dropping off also their preschoolers, pick up same days. And then their 3-year-olds also are the exact same. Parents can choose the half day option if they would like also. We have that option for them. Here's a price comparison for private preschools within our current district. So currently, we're about 32.17 hours Monday through Friday. And you can see kind of, I gave you 5 other comparisons. Our cost is about $810, and that's per month. Our hours for aftercare are 6 p.m., but our aftercare cost is an extra $400. So if you want to add that in, that is then $1,200. Sorry, $1,210 total to go up to 600 to go to 6 p.m. So I kind of just gave you a range of different private preschools throughout our community, just to kind of compare how we look compared to others. We do recognize that our preschool growth has had an impact on private childcare centers in the community. As more 3- and 4-year-olds enroll in our program, private centers are increasingly providing care for younger children, 0 to 2, which require smaller ratio sizes and more intensive staffing. As we consider any boundary changes, we want to be thoughtful and collaborative in supporting a balanced early childhood system for all families. Because that childcare ratio in 0 to 2 is a 1 to 4, And that does give an impact on those private centers at being able to be sustainable. But why early investing in students? It helps really build a whole child. We're working on their math skills, their literacy skills, their alphabet, self-regulation, how they work with their peers. We're working on that whole child and building that foundation. And the research has shown that if you invest in early childhood, you get a $7 to $12 return for every dollar invested over a child's life. So starting early reduces grade retention for special education placement, increasing later success for every single child in our district. And so we want to continue to support every kid starting at 3 and giving them that success. So hopefully by the time they hit kindergarten, first grade, they're ready to roll. We want them kindergarten ready. So our goals is to continue to grow and support preschool educators through professional development, provide early intervention for children starting at 3 years old. Let's fix the behaviors at 3. That way we don't have them when they're 15. That's the goal. Strengthen the entire pre-K through 12 system through early intervention. Align curriculum with early literacy and numeracy district goals. We want to start early. Let's get them ready for kinder. And then full day programming and aftercare options to support families. And the long-term vision is the investments are not about immediate returns. We're really investing because our early years are formative and critical. Quality programming creates lasting benefits for children and families. We get the children in our system earlier. Families are choosing Park City School District instead of private schools. We get them in at 3 and we're going to keep them. Instead of home with relatives, we're getting them in here. I have heard from a few kindergarten teachers that they say they know who is in our preschool because they know already how to school. They know they're ready to learn. They're not coming in nervous, crying. They're not having to teach them how to play with other kids. We've already done that for them. So we need to continue to work together as a team. And then we build stronger connections to the public school system from the start. So biggest thing, invest early. Let's grow our educators in preschool, support families, and strengthen the entire system. This approach that pays off for all the students in the community for many years to come.
I was just, kudos to Missy and her incredible leadership and stepping into this role. I hear nothing but positive feedback from staff and families under her leadership. Shout out to Jen Swindeman, even though I know she doesn't like to be called out. She is leading, changing instructional practices with our preschool teachers. And obviously, this board and previous boards for making preschool a priority. We recognize that early investment pays dividends long-term. And then our partnership with the Ed Foundation. I know Bill is in the audience. Thank you for your gift. This is a community-wide effort to ensure our kids get what they need at an early age.
I just was gonna say, I was at one of their Veterans Day services at Harley's this year, and it was just delightful to see the preschoolers that were included in that assembly and how much fun all the kids had. So I really, yeah. And I wanted to take one home. They would love.
They love being included, and you see they're out there. There is a big kid. They're like, excited.
And there has been a bit of shift in mentality. We're a pre-K to 12 district. We are not a K-12 district. We are starting to educate our students at 3, not 5. So shifting that mentality, and our preschoolers are a part of the neighborhood school community. They're not separate.
Can you talk a little bit more about, I mean, this is amazing, but thank you. Can you talk a bit more about the impact on other preschool facilities? I hadn't really thought about that. Is that something we have specifically seen already? Is that, can you just talk a little bit more about this?
So I'm on, it's with the 0 to 8 coordination. for Summit County. And I've been on a few Zoom calls with some preschool private care providers and myself. And they are saying that enrollment is down, specifically for the private care in that 3 to 4 range. And that is where private care providers do make more of their money. Because they can, in a 3-year-old range, the childcare licensing is 0 to 12, or 1 adult to 12 kids. In 4, it's 1 to 15. From 0 to 2, it's a lot smaller ratio. So since we're growing so much, they believe that impact is hitting them. So they're seeing a decline. Now, most of their 3 and 4-year-olds, from what they have told me, they are accepting more kids out of boundaries. That's what they were reporting, that most of their kids are out of boundary kids. They have very few in boundary kids. And I only talked to 3 or 4 providers. That's not everyone. But they're starting to get nervous. That's the feeling that I'm hearing on these Zoom calls.
So we want to be good community partners as we consider open enrollment for preschool. We'll have that conversation in March. Let's think about the broader impact on our other early childhood providers. Recognizing, yes, we could take probably another 40 or so kids, but do we want to and do we need to? Because there are impacts on other facilities across the county.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that as we learn more and how we can partner with some of those organizations.
Question, the impact I see now that you brought it to our attention, but don't a lot of parents that kids go to those private daycares work year round, so our district doesn't cover that. And that's the negative part of having it in a district compared to having it in a private.
Yes, when I was talking to them, I asked, would you open a summer to kind of gap that, help some of our families out and they could make a little bit of money in the summertime. Their big thing is they want to keep their childcare licensed employees all year long. They don't want to hire employees for only 3 months. And I can tell you now that I've learned the childcare licensing process, which I have got it's a whole different process. It takes 4 to 5 weeks to get someone through the system, fingerprinted. You have to do so many hours of licensing. That's very specific. So I do see where hiring someone for 3 months, you're putting more time in to train them than you would have them working with the kids. So that's kind of the balance that we need to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it does seem like it'd be a slightly different market. I mean, obviously there's going to be some, but
A lot of them go as part-time in summer too.
Yes.
A month of their pays. Daycares?
Yeah, some of the
Some of
daycares
them,
close over the summer and take longer holidays, so.
No, a lot of our families will enroll their kids in summer camps, and that's how they bridge the childcare gap from June to August.
And like Mark and Basin Recreation will offer programs that.
But they only go down to
Right.
5.
Yeah.
I don't think they go down to 3 and 4. 4, it's a 4, I don't know if it's 4. And then the kid.
Question, so, the special ed kids are near and dear to my heart, and so now that you're doing 3-year-olds, you're helping transition them from early intervention.
Yep.
And then get them ready for kindergarten.
Yeah.
And you're already at 10. It's a lot already, how's that going?
It's going really well. We really concentrated our special education into Jeremy Ranch. The reason why is we wanted all our ESPs in one building, so we're not spread across 2 buildings. Last year, we had some of our ESPs traveling between buildings. Now we can have them all in one building, supporting kids 100% of the time with one special education teacher. We are really making sure that the kids are supported within the classroom. It's a push-in model. So the kids, we might have 2 special education kids in a classroom with 1 ESP. So they're really with our preschoolers in the classroom, getting the same lessons. And then when they feel like they're done getting the same lesson, ESP recognizes it and pulls them out. So we kind of push in, pull out as the kid tells us, and we kind of watch and listen and let them tell us what they need and when they want to learn and when they maybe need a break.
Good for you guys. If we could all be so lucky.
Exactly. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, next up, we have Kara and Carolyn joining us.
I'm just here for one, so.
Wow, okay. I have.
Okay, sorry, I just walked down the paper.
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't hear it.
okay, no, you're good,
I was reading them.
I'm online.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
On the paper, this was what's next.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Well, you know how they say, gosh, it's gonna be really hard to follow that presentation. This is a segue.
You threw it up for us.
Yeah. Because we are gonna talk a little bit about our curriculum adoption process. I'm Kara Breckwald. I'm the special education coordinator.
And I'm Dr. Brittany Bly, I'm the behavior specialist for our district.
Oh, I'm Carolyn. It's here to support if they need it. Great. I'm gonna let Dr. Bly talk a little bit about the student lead and especially how it kind of springboarded from preschool.
Yeah, actually pretty excited to talk after Missy because the increase of enrollment for preschool and putting all the students at Jeremy Ranch has really helped us see that there's a lot of need for students that have level 2 or 3 autism, which is more profound, where there's deficits in adaptive skills, communication skills, pre-learning skills. And we've just noticed as like a special ed team and myself working with students who have that level of autism, especially in my past in a clinical setting, realizing that we really needed a comprehensive curriculum that's going to help support those needs. So early intervention, as we know, and Missy said, is probably one of the more important things, especially in preschool, but it's even more important for a student or a child that has that level of needs. And typically, if they were in an ABA or an autism clinic, they would be receiving 40 hours of intensive ABA kind of therapy. So all that being said, we have really capable teachers and we want to be able to provide them with research-based curriculum that's going to help support those deficits in a way that's replicated from preschool into elementary setting as well. So.
And we also have, in preschool, we do have a program, one of our elementary schools, Trailside, actually has several students in the same profile that we want to provide that same curriculum and programming, that research-based, ABA-based curriculum to meet all of those needs. So this was a process. Go ahead, thank you. We identified those needs as a school team. Our SPED leadership team, myself, Jacqueline Knapp, and Brittany, we researched all the available programs. We narrowed it down to 2 based on what our need was. We had presentations with those 2 providers. And then we received videos, program information. We got online accounts for our teachers and our administrators that work with those students in those programs. Then we called our committee. We started with our school-based committee. We wanted to brainstorm. We came up our overall need and then what were our priority needs? What did we want to look at? And questions we wanted to ask of the presentations. So we compiled those questions and then we developed an evaluation rubric so that when we met with those 2 presentations, we could look and compare and contrast both of those. That was on October 8th. On October 24th, we had our full committee, including parents and administrators and related service professionals. We had 2 presentations, one by Star Autism and then another one by Eris Autism. They were really great presentations. We had a robust committee discussion afterwards. We really found that both programs met our like overall need and each one had some things that we liked better than the other. But when it came down to it and we presented the overall recommendations to our leadership committee, it came down to that STAR is being used in several districts in the state of Utah. ARIS is not. It is a wonderful, robust program. It's being used in other states, but we would be the first ones to use it. By having the STAR program, we have model classrooms that teachers can visit, parents can visit. They have a Utah-based trainer. The training was incorporated into the overall cost, and so it was more efficient and effective for our smaller group of students, even though we've had an increase, relative to our size as a district. The districts that are using the other program were really big districts back east and in the Midwest. So we felt like STAR overall met our needs in that. So we did send out a survey and we got the feedback from the community members. We proposed STAR, and then I'm gonna let Brittany talk a little bit more about STAR and what that looks like. But after today, then we will go forward with posting it to the website for 30 days, if this is approved today, and then we'll have our community meeting. We've scheduled that for December 3rd.
Yeah, so it was really exciting to go through these different programs. My PhD is in applied behavior analysis, and the strategies that I use in just doing behavior interventions is really similar. So being able to find a comprehensive curriculum that really takes out a lot of the busy work of trying to create materials and trying to create like objectives. It's just there for a teacher who knows how to use those strategies, and it just makes it a lot easier and a lot more consistent across the different settings. So one, evidence-based instructional practices is definitely research validated, and the biggest thing is it aligned to the Common Core and also the Utah state standards. ABA based, meaning it's going to use those behavioral principles, but it's incorporating skills based and not just behavior reduction. It's really just like an overall a marriage of those two, which is really great, which it's going to help support language, social, behavioral, and then those foundational academic needs. So a lot of times when we have, a self-contained classroom in preschool or in elementary, they're going to be getting that intensive direct instruction all the time. And this is really helpful because it's going to go across all of those settings. Meets the individual need of the students at those various developmental levels. And it aligns with those IEP goals. And that has always been, as a teacher too, the hardest part is being like, okay, here's my goals. What am I going to do to teach these? And this makes it so that it can be really consistent. And when the student transitions from preschool to kindergarten, they have that program with them, and that's really helpful. They don't have to reinvent anything. Comprehensive materials. This is really, like I said, I've spent days creating materials as a behavior analyst, and the fact that this has all of that program manual, lesson plans, ready to use manipulatives and online resources is really going to help in the assessment process of being able to identify what skills are in needing to learn and what strengths they already have, so we're not just continually working on the same things. The biggest thing that we really, I think, was the biggest perk for this system or this curriculum in general was the individualized training options. Like Kara said, this was all included within the cost of what we researched, as opposed to the other one, it was added in more to those costs. So this was really nice that they can come to the classroom, they can help us set things up. There's a Utah-based trainer, and like having model classrooms that we can collaborate with. Some of our teachers have already been trained in this system in the past in different districts, so that's also been very helpful. And just making sure that we're being as consistent and as research-based and using the right practices, especially with the 3-year-old program. I think expanding, I would guess we would probably get more students at that level of autism that would come in and receive that. We want to make sure we have quality curriculum so that we are meeting their needs.
Okay, so then if you remember how this works, right, we come to you, then we do that Zoom meeting, we get feedback from the community, and then we'll come back to you in December for final approval on this curriculum.
Is the plan to roll this out to everyone who has an IEP, or is it by grade? How are you gonna
That's
roll it out?
Really great question. I think we're looking at rolling it out in the preschool setting and then the Trailside classroom that has really that concentration of the level of students who need this. That being said, this is a curriculum that can be used with any child that has a developmental delay that's impacting their school readiness, needing
social skills, needing, what am I thinking? Like,
Behavioral support.
yeah, hygiene, like teaching those kind of skills. So it's something that we can use, but I think starting out, we wanna make sure we have those in model classrooms.
It's for those students, the curriculum is appropriate for a cognitive capacity up to 9 years old, so 18 months to 9 years old. That doesn't mean like their age, but what they can, and there's 3 different levels with an assessment that you can use, and then it targets exactly where you need to start in your scope and sequence. And then you can tie that to an IEP goal, pull it out and just go right to work. And it's really easy to have your assistants use it or your related service people. It's, so like we we're saying, instead of having to create all of your own materials and try to figure out yourself what level they're starting at, it's more of a ready-made curriculum. And right now, it's really interesting that we just happen to have the concentration. We had quite a few move-ins to Trailside at this, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say something that you were saying, yeah, but I think, oh, that's the nice thing, is that comprehensive aspect of using an assessment and then taking what that assessment says. And then, hey, if you move to this, now you're going into kindergarten, we don't have to retrain or redo anything, it's everybody has that same plan.
And they can train, when they do come in and do the group training, they can train up to 30 individuals. So anyone that works with that student can come into that training, and they're really learning not just about the curriculum and the programming, but really good ABA instructional strategies too. So you can use it with all students as well, but the curriculum, materials, resources that comes with the kits is really targeted for those students at that level. Any questions for them?
I have about how many students do you have in a typical group? Is it pretty stable over time?
Yeah, we have 10 right now,
10.
Between the preschool and the elementary that we would use this with.
And when you run ABA intervention or instruction, typically it would be rotated between the head teacher working one-on-one or two-on-one, so that they're really getting that individualized, like consistent, direct instruction. And then they might rotate. So it takes a lot of coordination. So taking off the planning aspect of needing to create materials, this helps a lot with that stability, and training staff in particular, especially when there's a high turnover. Sometimes we don't have it right now, but right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
We'll do it.
Hello, so I'm the principal of McPolin, Angie Duffner, and I'm here to just tell you about the wonderful things we have going on at McPolin. Very excited. Trisha, do you mind? So this is just the mission and vision of Park City School District. What I'll be doing today is kind of going through each one of those bullets and just kind of giving you an overview of how we address that in our school. Mission and vision. So McPolin has 2 very distinct goals that we are doing this year. We're at all of the PD that we have, all of the meetings that we have, everything is surrounding these 2 goals. And if it doesn't surround these 2 goals, we're not doing it because these are very concentrated goals. Okay, so McPolin will increase the number of students proficient in math and reading by 3% as determined by the Acadians grades K through 3 and RISE grades 3, 4, and 5. We will make these gains by increasing oral language discourse opportunities and curriculum-based materials. Proficiency means students score blue on Acadians reading and math and at least a 3 on RISE reading, math, and science. So while I know that's a lot of information, most of our beginning, middle, and end of year assessments surround Acadians, which is our early screener. Our K through 3 take that, all grades, all kids. And then when they get to 4 and 5, it's usually just the students who have shown that they need some more support. And that's if they score color-wise red or yellow. And so, we would like to increase our proficiency by 3% on both reading and math. And then RISE, 3 means that they are proficient, a 4 is above proficiency. So we are looking at making gains in that as well. And like I said, that's a very broad goal, but it's very concentrated because it gives everybody kind of the mentality that whatever we do surrounds the increase in these areas. And we're doing it through something called discourse. And what that is, it's very important for students to be able to think and to explain what they're thinking and why they got to a certain point. And so everything that we've been doing this year has been surrounding the discourse. In our teacher meetings, which are our PLCs that we have on Tuesday, we talk about how are we doing discourse. Right now, we're in the middle of what is called a no hand raising challenge. And that's for 30 days. We are trying, okay? Now, is it 100%? No, and I tell everybody, if it happens, it happens. It's not like anything's gonna, but it's fun, and we've heard a lot of, but there's a lot of research surrounding why hand raising prohibits student discourse. And so Anita Archer is one of our gurus of education, and she has a wonderful video that we have been studying along with some other educational people who've come out with studies. And long story short, we've given this professional development to the staff. We're very excited about it, and I think they are too. Our number 2 goal is about our MLL student proficiency. We will increase by 29%, which equates to 17% above the 2024 state. So our state as a whole is very low when it comes to the proficiency level of our multilingual learners. We want to be at least 17% above them, but we also want to be 3% above the district. We're really wanting to start so that we can attain this goal and move forward. We're doing this through something that we've talked about this a lot in my school, is that if we're doing the same thing that we've done in the years past, we're going to expect the same results. So this year we've done a lot of professional development and language discourse. We are targeting our MLLs every week, looking at their data, looking at how they're doing in all of their kind of little micro assessments that are given every week. And we're making lots of decisions every week about which groups they should go into. And this is a concentration that we've never had this much in our school before. And I know Jenna can attest to that. It's just always in the front of our minds that we have got to move this. So while it would be great to move beyond 3% of the district, and if we do, fantastic, the minimum we want to do is 3% above our district average. So with those 2 goals, our school-wide focus, like I said, has been extended discourse, because in order to maintain those 2 goals, we have to increase our student discourse. Any questions about student discourse? Because I know that's a lot of information. Okay, go ahead. So, academic success. As I alluded to from the slide right before, academic success is fostered through many opportunities for us to discuss data as a team. It is important that we discuss data weekly, bi-weekly, every 6 weeks, and we have meetings that we meet, weekly PLCs. The teachers are in a 15-minute PLC with myself and the instructional coach during their prep time every Tuesday. During this meeting, they get together and team with their counterparts, but we also look at specific data. We talk about student concerns. We say, if you haven't discussed a student concern in a PLC, you cannot move on to the next meeting. So this is really where we discuss, hey, this student is having a difficult time, or this group of students is having a difficult time. After that, we go to what's called a data dive. Data dives are where we talk about specific students and we troubleshoot what we can do to ensure that that particular student is getting what they need and getting the instruction they need. Maybe it needs to be changed. Maybe it needs to be lengthened. Maybe we need to add something. Data dives are every 6 weeks. And the grade level comes together with our interventionist, with our coach, myself, and we discuss a lot of Acadian's data, and wit and wisdom, arts and letters. We really run the gamut there. It's about 2 hours every 6 weeks. SSD and SRT kind of go together, and those are done on an as-needed basis, usually about twice a month, but sometimes it's every week, depending on how many students we have. And that's really identifying a single student and what we need to do for that particular student. So we're always talking data. We know that's how we're going to move students. That's our academic success. Oh, this is the best slide. So these two ladies.
Can I pause and
Yes.
invite Bill up because Bill is sponsoring this recognition? Deidre, do you want to join us?
Hey, should I hang here or should I? This is, you can hang right here. These two ladies, Belsie and Jenna, are two of many staff members who go above and beyond my expectation, their colleagues' expectations. I'm gonna talk about Belsie, then Jenna. Belsie, we have Cafe Con Amigos, we have community engagement nights, and they are so well attended, not because they want to come see me. She's, you gotta come, you gotta hear what the principal has to say. And it is amazing. Students flock to Belsie's office every day before school, after school. They're not feeling well, but they want to go see Miss Belsie. She really embodies the outreach position. And I don't know what we would do without her. She has been amazing. Jenna is an amazing teacher who's been with us for 7 years. And I was there, I was in on her interview. Jenna is so great about making connections with students, which we know really in this day of in education, you need to. Jenna decides what it is that she can talk about with that student, gets the buy-in from the parents. And not only does she make them feel comfortable, but she meets those students where they are. She differentiates, she pumps them up when they need to, she differentiates up, down. Truly her classroom is so inviting. But this year, and I appreciate what you did, she brought a social emotional component into our school this year called Crew. And do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So Crew is something I was introduced to when I worked at an expeditionary learning school a long time ago when I first started. And it actually comes from the Outward Bound experience, where we teach the kids we are crew, not passengers, that we are all in the experience together. Nobody is just here getting pulled along. And they really buy into it. We'll be in a math lesson and they'll be like, Miss Jenna, I fell off the boat. I'm off the boat. The kids will be like, just hold on to me. So we'll kind of re-explain and they're like, all right, come back in. I'm not holding paddle, but like they love it. And we have crew meeting every morning where we check in with each other. We do quotes, we greet each other, we do affirmations. The kids have a week that they're the crew leader where they have to kind of be in charge of that. And it's not just our morning meeting, it's our entire culture of our classroom. And I have students, I've done this my entire career. This is my 14th year in education, and my old first graders who are now, like, I go to their weddings and the first thing they'll say is, Miss Jenna, do you still do crew? You know, it's just a thing that I've always done. And this year, Angie asked me to introduce it to our staff. So I presented it to all of the teachers before school started. And there's a lot that have incorporated pieces of it. And I don't expect anyone to do it the way that I do it, because classroom community has to be authentic to that classroom, to that educator, to those kids. But if we can all put our focus on getting to know our kids, letting them know that they matter to each other and to me and to themselves, helps everything that we do as educators. And so that is a focus that I've had, and I've really enjoyed seeing other teachers implementing it this year and other kids talking about Crew at McFall, and it's been really.
It has been fun, and there has, like you said, the teachers are just getting used to what it is, but there's definitely those components, and I appreciate that. And this year you are bringing, Finding Nemo, our first ever, musical theater. And she had auditions she has all this week, working with, Belsey. They are making phone calls to ensure that our whole school is represented in this musical theater, and we have a lot of kids coming out. And so, again, just a testament to these ladies working together for the betterment of our school and making sure that we, are equitable to all of our students. So thank you to both of you.
On behalf of our and the Education Foundation, I want to thank both of you for embodying what it means to be one Park City.
Thank you.
And they have a small token of appreciation, and we will take pictures, and then we'll get back to Angie's presentation.
That's it. Maybe just quickly, and first of all, a pleasure to be here tonight and to join all of you. I get to wear two hats. The first hat is representing Park City Mountain Resort. I'm the COO, and think every day about not just what we do when it comes to what happens on the mountain, but how we can be great community partners. And luckily, we've been able to do that through so many ways with the Education Foundation. So when they came to us and asked how we can support the Educators of the Month, we were like, easy, yes, so happy to do it. So inspired by tonight. Like, this means a lot to be able to be here. And one of the things that we're support by is that if you are an Educator of the Month, you can choose between a day ticket to the resort. I promise it will snow. Like if I start giving away tickets, maybe that's gonna change. Or $100 gift card at one of our restaurants, which includes on mountain or at the base area, or $100 gift card to one of our retail locations, which includes Patagonia and North Face on Main Street. So you choose that. And then I would just say the second hat is I have an 8th grader at Ecker. I have a 5th grader at Trailside. And so I get to witness every day, not just about raising kids in this community, but raising good humans and all of the role that you have in that. So just really proud to be able to recognize all of you today, and congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Elsie, this is for you. Yes, I want to be on Jen's crew team. I'm going to use that many times this season. Are you on the boat? Are you off the boat?
One, two, three.
I teach 4th grade. Yeah, so all of our 4th grade.
I just want to say something really quick. So, Jen, the play is, thanks to a PCS grant.
Yes, we should have said that.
No, that's my job, right? We love supporting these creative ideas of teachers. So, an amazing classroom grant. We're so excited to get. Belsey is the reason that McMullen always gets the most money during Beat the Fall Down Build the Foundation. She's out there getting every dollar donation. And then of course, Vail, came to us 11 years ago now and said, how can we support? What's the best thing to do? And, preschool was just, 2 or 3 years in. And we said, well, preschool is something that we're just starting to build and really important. And, Vail stepped right up, and then they stepped up in a really big way, even more a couple of years ago, and they are the presenting sponsor of running with that. So Vail has been supporting the school district through PCF for 11 years. So it's been great partnership. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so leadership, I felt like it was important for you to hear how we help in leadership with our students. So I came from it from that perspective. McPolin has many leadership opportunities for students to learn how to lead and be positive, happy, and successful students. So once a month, we do what's called a Motivated Moose Award. And we have something called rock behavior, respect, organization, cooperation, and kindness. If you're showing that in your classroom, you could be nominated for a Moose Award. And if you've ever been to our Motivated Moose, you have, it's amazing, and you are all welcome. But the kids really take it very serious. And they take the rock rules very serious. They know the rock rules. You can ask first grade on up. Pre-K, they're, yeah. You'll ask them what the rock rules are, they'll tell you. So it's really important. Also, Officer Eads, our new resource officer, he is doing something new this year, called Officer Eads Patrol. And he takes students who could maybe use a little bit of more support on how to be a leader in the community. And he's working with them daily. He does daily check-ins. And he also gives them stickers to give out to other students who they see are embodying leadership. We have the class of 2033. Every time I say that, it's weird. Principal lunch. And I love this so much because this is an opportunity for students to shine outside of the academic classroom. Every month, a different group is challenged with giving us names of fifth graders who are leading in the area of recess, cafeteria, small group instruction, specialist area. And so I get to have lunch with them once a month. We do a nice tablecloth with candlesticks, they're not real. And they always want to do Alberto lunch. We give them choices, but they always want to do Alberto's. And it's just a fun opportunity. And one of my questions, and this goes towards Portrait of a Graduate, is we talk about the different paths. When you're graduating from high school, it's going to be 2033. You have these paths. And what would you like to do? And our whole 15-minute conversation is surrounding what they want to do when they're a senior in high school when they graduate. So it's really fun. We also this year have something new called Fifth Grade Leaders. And that was born out of the We All Belong campaign. We kind of morphed it into a leadership. Last year, We All Belong was really an initiative from me to the students, from the teachers. This year, we really wanted to be more of a grassroots fifth grade. You have this opportunity to allow students to understand that we do all belong, and how do we do that? So our wonderful counselor, Julia, is leading that charge. So lots of opportunities for students to shine and really understand what it means to be a successful leadership student in our district. Communication. So monthly communication updates from the principal. So I send out a monthly office update. But we also have monthly PTO meetings that I attend. We also have Danielle Perry, who is our tech coach. She also attends. And we have different invites. Sometimes Belsey might come, sometimes our counselor might come. This next meeting, which is next month, we're going to have our dean who's going to do a safety presentation. So we really try to bring different opportunities to those meetings. Same with Cafe Con Amigos and our community engagement. The premise behind those two is I really feel very responsible that every family needs to be on the same playing field with information. And so it is our duty to make sure that we know if families don't know there's an option for a community support, that we help get them where they need to be. We've partnered with PC Reads a lot. We've partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Park City Community Foundation. I don't even know how many kids we've signed up for summer school or summer camps. And so it really is important to us to make sure that every child, every family has those same opportunities and know about those opportunities. So that's really important. And whenever we have those, whether it's a shot clinic or however we need to bring in-house people so they can do one-stop shop, which is at McMillan. Okay. Community Alliance, very similar to what I just talked about. except for, portrait of a graduate is a really important aspect of where the child is going from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And several years ago, the school district made a commitment that we would do an enrichment Friday every 6 weeks, and it coincides with the teacher's data information meetings. It's hard for a teacher to be out of their classroom for 2 hours during data, but during that 2 hours, the students, those particular grade level students are involved in enrichment activities. And a lot of the enrichment comes from community partnerships from around Park City. Eats will be there. Sometimes we'll have police, but Recycle Utah. Lots of different partnerships come together to do activities with the children. And it really, if you had like a passport, it really stamps on a lot of portrait of graduate things. And so our hope is by the time they're done with 5th grade and they're ready to move on, they've been exposed to some of these elements of portrait of a graduate so that they can continue that work starting in Ecker Hill. So that's what we do. Final thoughts. At McPolin, we are dedicated to providing personalized learning for every student. Our goal is to ensure that each learner has the opportunity to grow, achieve, and reach their fullest potential. And that is 100% authentic. We really want them to achieve their goals, and we're going to help them get there. Thank you. For our wonderful speakers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I thought you were only.
Well, actually, I think we're gonna go
Okay.
to public.
That's fine.
Stand by. Willing to come.
Okay.
So. We've had a full agenda. So now we are going to switch gears for a second and go over to public comment. The Board of Education wants to hear input from our community members at our meeting. And in order to respect and preserve the time allotted to each presenter on the agenda, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and speakers representing a group will be limited to 5 minutes. And I think we only have one submission for public comment, and that's Patrick Hayes.
Hello, I'm Patrick Hayes and I live in Pine Brook. I have a 7th grader in accelerated math at Ecker and a 5th grader in Tier 3 PACE at Jeremy Ranch Elementary School. I'm a private math tutor. A large portion of my income comes from tutoring students within the Park City District, whether they go to Park City schools or if they decide to go to the Valley to access other curriculums. I'm a certified Texas teacher. I teach music and math. My most recent teaching position was with the TRIO program at the University of Utah, but I've taught grades 6 through 12, both in public and private schools. I would like to thank the school board for providing a top-notch education for my students and for our community. Fantastic schools, fantastic teachers. Today, I'd like to advocate for a differentiated curriculum for 6th grade math. Currently, 5th graders have 3 tiers of service. They also do IXL, which is my son can be working on 7th or 8th grade math material, while the student next to them is working on more elementary school music or elementary math curriculum. My daughter's experience with 6th grade math was that it was mainly a repeat of material that she had seen before. And then she's in 7th grade now. Their class is having kind of a whiplash from 6th grade math being very easy to 7th grade math being appropriately hard, and she's disappointed that she has to do homework at home now. So it's quite a whiplash for her. My hope would be that the district would extend the honors and accelerated option to 6th grade math. The current structure seems to bottleneck our top achieving and top scoring students in the 6th grade level. As a math tutor, I see families choosing other schools because Park City School District does not offer accelerated math options in 6th grade. After this meeting tonight, I'm tutoring a seventh grader at Waterford that used to be best friends with my fifth grader at Jeremy Ranch, but their family chose to make another decision in sixth grade. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a sophomore at Waterford, who's an AP calculus. She grew up in Trailside, was part of the dual immersion program there. I feel that when we wait to accelerate students till seventh grade, we lose some of our top scoring students here in the district. Miss Forrester was my daughter's sixth grade math teacher. She's already GT certified. She has the training. We would just need to develop the curriculum and identify the students to fill the classrooms. Miss Gorange is my daughter's seventh grade accelerated math teacher. She's currently developing the seventh grade accelerated curriculum. She's trying out different things. Some things are working, some things are not. I think that this would be, now that we have a 6th through 8th middle school, this would be the time to look at the accelerated math program and fill in the gap that we have in 6th grade. I feel like we have appropriate. Okay, thank you for your time and I appreciate your continued service.
Thank you.
All right. Now it's you. JD with a construction update.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. Oh, you, we're into my best picture. Do a bad one. There you go. Okay, so this is just kind of for reference only here. There are a few things that aren't actually correct on this, but it give you just, just for reference there. So everybody can see the demolition of Treasure Mountain, obviously, that's where those 2 soccer pitches / multi-use sports fields are going. I'd say they're about 90% done. They should have the building completely down by the end of the week, but then they sort through everything and take what they need to recycle and that kind of stuff. And they salvage, and so they'll be sorting through that.
Did you find the time capsule?
Have not found a time capsule yet, but those guys don't tell me everything, right? So I did see they had some stainless steel sinks sitting out there this morning that they had pilfered out of there, but they, and then the portables will probably happen next week. It's a shorter week. I don't know how many people are working on Friday and with Thursday. Some people take off, but they said they'd probably get to the portables next week. So that'll be happening. Part of the demolition of where we were originally leaving the slab there because of the environmental concerns, thinking that we'd be in winter and we'd be tracking things out and the mud. The way things are going with the weather, we may demo that. So part of the environmental stuff is classifying how much the foundation and footings underneath that building have contamination, and how much the materials, the dirt is stuck to it. I'm hoping that it's built on structural fill, right? We don't know that. We're gonna dig a test hole and see what's underneath there, take some samples and get that classified. So if the weather holds, we may take that out and start that grading over there to get us in front of the spring. So you may see that happening in the next couple of weeks. Onto the buildings, so the dugouts and the team rooms, all the foundations are complete. The CMU on those will start next week. You'll see that starting to come up, all the blocks on site. We were partially waiting for them to cast all the block for the color that we needed. It's not like going to Home Depot, you have special colors, and so that's on site. In fact, they did the mock-up today, so you'll see that. The really only part of pouring that's left to do of concrete is the backstop tying into the dugout on the baseball field. And you'll see some pictures of that here in just a second. You don't even stare at it for a second. And then the plumbing's going in these buildings as well, and in these foundations and these team rooms, along with the electrical. We are at the footing level for the concessions, restrooms, and the press box. And so the footings will start next week on that building. You've heard me talk about a little bit about the peat. When we excavated that, we hit a bunch more peat so we ended up filling that hole back in and building it all the way back up, it's taken some time, but it's there now. So, the support building for the courts that you see here, the tennis courts, we're gonna hold off on that because it's logistically right in the middle of where all of our traffic comes through, right? So all of our haul trucks and everything that's coming in off of Kearns is turning right there, not at the light, but prior to the light, and then using the light to get back on for logistics, and so we're not gonna mess with that yet unless weather continues, but I can't tell if that's gonna happen or not, but. And so, like I said, they'll be pouring the baseball backstop and into the visitor dugout there. The utilities, we've completed the sewer line across the site. And we've started some of the water, but they've made the tie-ins to those restrooms that are inside those team rooms and made the tie-in to where the, concessions and press box building is going to be. The field lighting that you can see there in the yellow dots is going in this week. They'll start drilling all those tomorrow and pouring those in place on Thursday. And then we'll set the poles probably next week. So you'll start to see those going up as well. You've seen the fencing around all the ball fields, obviously. And there you'll see gaps in that. That's what we're using for access into all those fields. Let's see, probably the most exciting thing is the turf on the softball fields, about 90%, I'd say. They're seaming in all the lines. They seamed in the logo. You'll see this, and I took some pictures so you guys could all see. I know it's kind of hard that you can kind of see it from the road, but you can't. And so they should finish all of that by the end of the week, maybe it'll bleed a little bit into next week, and then they're gonna move over to the baseball. They have the whole outfield to do before they get to the infield, but you'll see in this, we're pouring underneath all of the home plate and the pitcher's mound is concrete. And then that's built up and it has a little bit of drainage and some stuff, and you'll see a picture of the baseball. That's all that's left of the baseball field to do. And they're doing that this week, pouring that. So naturally we'd move them over about 10 days to do the baseball field. So, and then it'll be turfed. It goes pretty quick. If you've seen how fast the softball field went, obviously the baseball field's better, but it goes pretty quick. Environmentally, we're currently sampling the peat to try to get a characteristic on it to see if it's contaminated or not. Preliminarily, it doesn't look like it is, and so what DEQ makes us do is we have to grid it off and sample that whole big pile, and so that's what we're doing right now. And once we get all that reporting back, and then we'll begin the process to get that hauled out too. I'd like to get that out before winter so it doesn't sit there all winter long. And then we've started the landscaping around the perimeter of the baseball fields and the softball field. They've ran the main line and a lot of the lateral lines for the heads. So that's been ongoing. And then that's pretty much it. I'm sure I skipped a couple things, but now we can go, Trish. So there's just a couple pictures.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Quick question back on there.
Uh-oh.
It's so big.
You like that's artificial turf.
Sorry.
It all shrunk. You're good.
Oh, just a quick
Okay,
reminder, the two structures between the multi-purpose fields, what are those?
Bleachers.
Oh, those are bleachers. Oh,
Yep.
those are bleachers.
Yep.
Okay, I see they're squared.
And what are the buildings in the back?
Let's see, the back of,
By
The very top,
tennis
I'm sorry,
courts?
the very top, you have your tennis courts and then above them.
above the tennis courts or below the tennis courts, that's a support building for below the tennis courts, right? So that has the team rooms, lockers,
Oh, that's what
changing
that is.
area, restrooms, all that stuff. It's to really kind of support both those, the pitches and the tennises, but it gives everyone somewhere to change, put your bags, all that kind of stuff.
And the restrooms are in there.
Restrooms are in there, yep, correct.
And then where's the concessions? That's
Right there, right,
Okay.
she's right on it, right there, yeah, there's concessions right there, so.
And then what do we do? Do we get any takers for the mobile units?
No,
So those are built to foundation as a snow load, so they're very expensive to move.
Wow.
The demo will be a lot less expensive than
a lot,
having to. Yeah, so.
50,000 just to move.
right, we have some history from previous ones we've moved, and that, they were very expensive, I can tell you that. Even items a lot cheaper, so. Yeah. So,
Nobody wants them for a tiny room.
I kinda asked around, but I didn't have any takers, so it's usually, it costs somebody else the same to move it, right?
Yeah.
Probably even more because, yeah, but, so. That's that's the logo on the softball field,
Awesome.
so. And then you can kind of see the baselines going in and the infield there. That's that's the visitor dugout on the baseball field that they're tying into right now. There's kind of a overview of Treasure.
So I mean, maybe if you get to getting up the foundation, you might find the time cup.
Oh, yes.
I'm just saying, keep your eyes.
I think hopefully they did a time capsule.
Well, I've asked multiple times and of those guys if they find anything, you know, of course those guys. And then you guys, yeah, no, I always wonder if there's somebody left some cash or you never know what was left inside one of there, right? But so they salvage a lot of that stuff and recycle a lot of it, but that is the batters box for home plate, yeah. So. And that's kind of the last one. I know it's kind of hard to see in there, so I just thought I'd show a couple of pictures there. So.
Yeah, I mean, wanted to make sure she didn't wreck while she was driving down there.
I know, I kept looking up, you know.
Well, I ran into a girl over the weekend actually that's on the softball team that says, well, are we gonna be able to use the thing? I said, oh, the turf's down. And she says, oh, I drove by there and didn't see it. And this was on Saturday. I said, oh yeah, it's down because I left here Saturday and rented. So it's definitely.
Lori, Randy and I have the best views. So if you
Yes.
just wanna-
Yes.
I should have told them.
Yes.
Uh,
They rolled it out like carpet on Friday and it makes.
I heard the wind wasn't so nice when they were rolling it out, it was up and back.
I asked them about that, and they did say they had a field takeoff on them somewhere in California and lifted up and got over the cage. But they were placing stuff on it, so as they roll that out, they quickly seam it together, right? And so they were hurrying to get a couple of them down so that it was more heavy, but they've had good weather, but it looks like.
Some drone footage
Yep.
that Marshall said we can share it with the board. It gives you an aerial view.
I also have drone footage too that I was trying to get ready for tonight, but I had other things that got in the way of that, so I didn't get that ready, but we also have drone footage of that too, so the demo.
We get some of that.
Yeah, these are great, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other? Good. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Randy.
All right, this is the time of year we start talking about enrollments for next school year. By state code, November 15th through February 1st is the early enrollment period. Where boards have to declare if they're gonna be closed grades or closed schools or anything like that. So let's review a little bit of data and talk through how we come up with projections. This first slide, just shows you the history of enrollment here in Park City School District. So the last column, you can see 4049, that was our enrollment in October. It's a straight hit count. A loss of 68 students. Back when the board opened schools in June, I believe it was, when that decision was made, obviously that helped that number. Because that number was anticipated to be anywhere from 100 to 110 or 20 student loss, so that definitely helped. And then obviously we've talked about before the ninth graders going to the high school with kids coming earlier to the system. From other surrounding schools. So that's where we're at this year. For next year, this next slide shows the history and the projection or forecast. So the 26-27 column, you can see the projection I have going into next year is 3,993, so essentially 4,000 students with a loss of 56. So to project here, we use what we call survival ratios. How many second graders survived to third grade, how many third grade survived to fourth grade. It becomes averages over years.
Yeah.
So those are all delta percentages, and you look at those ratios and say, okay, what's our projection gonna be for the following year? Calculate a 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, single year percentages and take so the numbers that are projected here take into account a year's worth of in-migration from out-of-boundary kids, right? So we're trying to get at. If we hadn't had those kids, you'd probably still still see enrollment decline by at least 100 kids. I'm even, and this is a conservative estimate. I would even dare say that if schools are left open, we may be close to a break-even situation overall, what we'd have to see there. You can see the history in future years, keeping in mind that the future forecast don't take into that 1 year of ratio in as much as it would, had there been 2 or 3 years of data, right? In that projection. So that's where we are forecast wise. The next slide, so one of the things we have to determine with open and closed schools or grades, is according to the law, we have to come up with how many instructional stations we have, what our class size is, to say how many kids can our schools hold, right? So this is an average class size in the current year. So I think what was presented to you in June was saying, hey, if we went class size of 23 at the elementary and 25 at the secondary, here's how many spots we have open. So you can kind of see from a grade perspective and also from a secondary subject perspective where those numbers fall. In the elementary, we're averaging between 18 and 19. Preschool is included in this, which has a little smaller class size. So we're averaging between 18 and 19 students per class. Now, that doesn't mean there's equally 18 and 19 students in every class. There's some classes that might only have 11 kids, right? And another class that might have 22 kids. So these are all averages. At the secondary level, we're averaging right around 21 to 22. If you take out, there's a couple small areas, and that's the specialty and the other, kind of skew the number a little bit from those totals at the bottom, the 20.36 and the 20.20. So we're right about 22 students. So as we looked at class sizes before, we said, okay, if we went 25 students, how many students could we hold? We chose to leave secondary schools closed because of the reconfiguration at the time, which was allowable by law. So we're averaging about 21 to 22 students. Again, same dynamic. I might have more kids in a PE class versus kids in a specialty, electric class type. So that's where we are this year, class size wise. So here's the chart that comes to the board each year. So this tells us our maximum capacity in each school, and then tells us our enrollment threshold. Our enrollment threshold is calculated by either subtracting 40 students from our capacity or taking 90% of our capacity. It's all spelled out in state code. And then we take the greater of those two, right? Not the lesser, usually the lesser, but you take the greater of those two. So in Parley Sparks example, we're saying there's a maximum capacity, which is taking their class size, number of teaching stations, they can hold 475 students. Now, obviously, if the class size was larger, they could hold more students, right? But that's based on class size this year. That threshold's 435. Their projected enrollment for next year is 362. So you can see the status would be open because they have some room available. Now, that doesn't mean they have room in all grades, right? That's something we've got to consider. So you can see some are a little closer than others, some have more room to bear. But in every calculation based on that class size, unless the board were to say tonight, hey, we're gonna build a budget with a class size of 10, this open schools is probably not gonna change.
It's not.
It's not good.
Question,
Yeah.
are you projecting that Jeremy Ranch is going to go down that much next year? Unless I'm reading this wrong.
So their October 1 enrollment this year is 394.
Oh.
And their projected is 390. So no, we're saying they're gonna stay flat overall. But their capacity in the school is larger
Yeah,
based on class size and the number of teaching stations they have.
and these buildings, when they were built, wasn't Jeremy built for 600?
More than likely, I'm guessing.
That's
That's pretty
right.
much the minimum that an elementary is built for. Yeah, so again, the variable factor here is the class size. Right? If the class size was deemed at 22 versus the 18 that we're seeing, sure, that capacity would be higher, closer to 600.
And that's compared to how many teachers, correct? So.
Not number of teachers, number of teaching
They-
stations.
So a classroom.
A classroom.
So if they have a classroom that they break out and use an instructional aid maybe, and they take kids in there one-on-one, if it's large enough to place a class in, it's considered a teaching station. Yeah. A room that's not big enough for that would be considered not a teaching station, right? If it's a smaller room, taking a one-on-one student situation, it would not be counted, so. All right, so that's kind of where we're at with open and closed. The preliminary dates here noted November 15th to the 1st of February for the open and early enrollment period. So that's where the board gets to decide, are we closing? And if we're closing, then there's no applications, or shouldn't be, there's probably still some that come in. But if the district says, if the board says, hey, we're open, then we allow those applications to come in, but those decisions don't have to be made till a later date. Right, so you can kind of look and see how it affects each grade. and recalculate. Okay, the next slide is really just taking, it's a lot of numbers, I know, it's taking the class size of 23, so going back to the 23 and the 25 for elementary and secondary. So Jeremy Ranch, for example, to read this, they currently are using 3 classrooms. So this is not based on number of teaching stations necessarily, but I don't want to give the picture that we have a bunch of teaching stations out there that aren't being utilized either. Right, so it may be off 1 or 2 based on what's being used or how it's being used, but it's not a large amount. So in kindergarten, for example, we have 3 classrooms, but if we were to put a class size of 23, the space available would be for 69 students. Our projection is 59 students. What's available there is 10 students. So that may be a grade that the board looks at and says, you know what, we may have natural attrition within school boundaries. And so we may want to leave that grade alone in first grade and just let the natural attrition happen with our inbounding students. Whereas, for example, in grade 3, it's got 4 classrooms, it's projected at 92, or excuse me, the space available is 92, it's projected at 62, and there's 30 spots available. So that may be a grade we say, hey, let's open that up and allow up to 20 additional out-of-boundary students or whatever that number is. So you kind of look through by grade, by school, where that's at. Now, again, it goes back to how many of those students move on to the next grade, right? There's other factors that are in there. Keeping in mind, this is a projection. This isn't based on registrations at the school. That number could change when registrations at the school come in. The last slide is dealing with secondary, Ecker Hill and Park City. And so same type of calculation using a class size. So with Ecker Hill, based on their figures, their available projection would be 250 students. Not sure we want to have that many go into that school, but based on number of classrooms and class size and how many students they're projected to have, for the high school, it's 225 students. In June, we talked about, hey, we can accept this number of students with the staff we have. Obviously not knowing retirees yet for next year. We don't know how many staff we're gonna have to hire to fill teaching positions. And by adding these full amounts into the school also would create situations where we may need more staff to house rather than just replacing those that retire.
So, question, if we have open enrollment starting November, do those parents just wait till we tell them? Till we get better feel for how many kids are gonna register for this class, this school next year? How do you do that with open enrollment that early, if you don't know?
Yeah, so an early open enrollment period, my understanding is, and Lori's the expert on this, my understanding is that decision does not have to be made till March.
Okay, so you don't have to tell the parent till March, okay.
They can apply.
They can apply early, but
And
they
everything
won't
is
find out
next
till
year.
March, okay.
So the early would go to February 1st, we'd reassess at February 1st and say, how many students do we have that are applying? Where does that leave us? We'd also have a better idea if there's retirees going, right? If
Right.
they declared, and that would tell us, hey, where are we really? How many do we think we really physically can hire? And how many students can be let in from that?
Secondary schools start to build their master schedules so they can see class loads, because we know that it's not an even split. You know, one class might have 32 kids, but another class has 22, but we can start to look at that in March, April-ish.
Because these numbers,
But I think related to what you're saying, I think that people are gonna apply between November and February, and tell me if I'm wrong, are people from out of district or who are excited to be in the district
right,
now,
right,
and we can count those, right?
not,
Yeah. So we don't have to respond to them until March, we don't have to, but we'd be counting them to say, okay, how many spots do we really have?
We'd have a more accurate projection.
Yeah.
and so the numbers that you showed that were now for the elementary school, are those out of district students too?
Yeah, that's current
The
enrollment.
projections,
Do those parents have to reapply every year, or once they're in the district? they're in the district?
5 to 6.
In a transition year.
Only if
So-
they go from elementary to middle and middle to high, okay.
And we've had conversation, you know, with Caleb, like, how many additional students could you accommodate and not need to hire more staff? It's like, you know, 80 to 100. Which, that's a significant
Yeah, that's
number
quite a
of
bit.
kids.
Yeah,
Is it correct to say that other districts are going through similar, assessments that
Across
we
the
are.
state, they have seen a decline in student enrollment for the last 3 years.
So we are in, would you say a very competitive position? I don't know. I would think we are, but I'm very biased, obviously.
Competitive as in what we offer?
As an attractive school district.
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
or
sure.
do we need a marketing plan?
Yeah.
This is where my mind is going. If the high school can take 100 students, whatever the numbers are, should we have?
We get those.
Yeah, we want to capture them.
Yeah.
We want a bigger crew. Because
Yeah, I think it's telling our own narrative about the great successes our kids are having. The incredible CTE space at the high school as well as Ecker. I recognize I'm biased in that space, but,
It's pretty amazing.
our AP pass rates, right? The electives that we offer kids.
Right, and the other thing I'm learning is that so much of what goes out in the newspapers and on the radio and all that stuff, and a lot of that is our sports stuff. You know, the girls' teams have had a fabulous year, and I think some parents, you know, we heard a lot of that noise when the footballers were, you know, advocating for their needs. So it seems like that would be something that we can't neglect and something we can be very proud of. And not that we're neglecting it, but use it part of the marketing scheme for all these kids who want.
And we had a handful of families when we opened K-5 ask, when are you gonna open your secondary school? So we know we have families waiting in the
Yes,
wings
I've talked to some of them in the market.
for this decision. You know, Silver Creek Village is a
Right.
perfect example. That's boundary to South Summit. I don't know the number of kids who reside there, but I have to expect that there's a handful of high schoolers that would come over to Park City High or Epic Hill.
But if we could capture, you know, have a plan, okay, from this area to this area, we'll take 10, from this we'll get 10. And you know, whatever the zip code is or whatever, if we have a real aggressive plan. I don't know if we need to do that, but that's the guidance I think that we need. I would.
I think it's word of mouth
Yeah.
and families talking about their own personal experience.
That too.
You know, we know Wasatch is gonna open a new high school. They have their own internal turmoil about boundaries and things, but I'm a firm believer of just word of mouth from our families, sharing about their incredible experience will bring, you know, more importantly, I wanna recapture the families who are choosing private schools down in the valley.
And that's 4 through 8, right? Yeah.
And even some 9-12,
Districts.
right?
So there's a decision item on the agenda tonight, where the board will have to make a decision how you want to address that, and we can answer those other questions at that time as well.
So at this stage is our decision just, are we closing any of the schools?
So at this point, based on the figures, I would say you're leaving schools open. Let us go through the early enrollment period.
Yep.
See how many applications we have, and then we come back to you in February. And say, here's how many applications we've had, where are the grades we can really handle the students? And then we start notifying parents that, yeah, we're accepting. your-
But if we leave them open now, we can later go back and say, you know, we can't take you at Trailside or whatever.
Yeah, you can do that. You could also say at this point, based on the projections of 23 and 25, like at the elementary level, if I have a school that's 10 students or less that has room available, I mean, the odds of getting into that, at this point, you can say the odds of getting into that grade are probably not as great.
We would like to say Jeremy Rich Kindergarten, we're closing, right? And leaving that space for potential move-ins or school choicing within the boundary, because we do want to keep our class size ratio a bit smaller in those younger grades.
So if we're not closing, we don't have a decision to make, is that right?
Yeah, to leave everything open, you don't have to make a decision. Yeah.
So let's do that.
Let's do that and work on the plan to get this fixed.
Although I'd probably
Maybe
advise,
we could get some from North Summit, since they've got all sorts of things going on.
I would probably advise passing a motion to say, hey, we're gonna leave them open now, allow those to apply. We're gonna reassess in February. before the decision of allowing them has to be made.
And we were gonna decide on preschool
In March,
In
and the rationale behind that, we don't have to abide by the same code as K-12 because of the way in which it's funded. And they'll go through their registration process and placement in January, February, so we'll have a better idea of how many seats do we actually have open.
So I think Jeremy's gonna be the only kindergarten that runs the risk of having too many applications if you keep it open.
I think McPolin doesn't really have room in kindergarten based on.
Okay.
I would say Poland and Trailside because of where they're situated,
Uh-huh.
to
So
south.
basically 10 or
Summit.
under.
I would recommend 10 or under, but
Okay.
we would not want to open those because we know they're. That happens in June and August.
So we're
Well,
opening.
part.
Yes. It's not as black and white as we'd like it to be.
Yeah, I think you open that for the early enrollment period to see what migrates in.
Okay.
And the elementaries, you can even say, you know, in those grades that have more than 10, we're gonna leave a 10 student buffer to make sure in-kid boundaries, maybe move-ins or other in-migration are taken care of. Yeah.
We already have about 10, right, Lori, first 26, 27.
Yes, or more. So, your projection for McCollum is 73 students. Would that mean you would be leaning if more than that came in to 4 classes at McCollum for kindergarten?
If they have the teaching space, you could do that.
Because
Sure.
that would make those 3 classes pretty heavy.
Yeah, right. So our goal would be to be at or below the class size that we're
Right.
dictating, you know.
So that, my question is, then if you have 75 students, wouldn't it be best to open it to get
Another
another
class.
classroom so that you're not at 25 kindergartners in each class?
Yeah, part of that is how the building's used, so that would be a discussion, I think, with Angie to say, hey, if we allow these kids into kindergarten and that creates another class, how are you for space?
Okay.
Yeah. Cause even though we have those teaching stations, there may be other programs happening, right,
In those
that we
spaces.
don't want to necessarily move in.
So do we wanna do the decision now or?
Yeah, keep it up.
The agenda.
Come back to.
Right, we're gonna come back to somebody making the motion, but I hope they remembered what Randy said. Sure, he'll be happy to refresh.
I'm looking at we did the thing like.
Yeah. Okay. We good? We ready for paper? So next up, we have the consent agenda, which includes the regular session minutes of October 14th, the emergency procurement for RMEC environmental, approval of FY 25 app financial audit, the land trust review revisions, I'm sorry, I can't read tonight, for Jeremy and Carly's personnel, the check registers of October 25th, and the board revenue and expenditures of October 9th. We get a
You can make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Okay, great. Let me recommend you to provide. We've already done public comment, yes. Okay, now, next up, we have monthly reports. It puts Layla first, but I'm gonna hold her off till second. I have a statement. Cindy could not be here tonight, so she just sent us this and I'm going to read it. So on behalf of the Employee Involvement Group, Josh Dukes and I want to thank you for your time and effort on behalf of all ESPs. We especially appreciate your work to ensure that all staff who support students and colleagues are included in the state's one-time bonus being paid out this fiscal year. Your thoughtful consideration means a great deal to all ESPs, both those who work directly with students and those who work behind the scenes. Thank you, Cindy Hare and Josh Dukes. Do we have anybody here?
Kristen is the PCSD.
Yes.
Right, from here.
Oh, yeah, we'll say.
Sorry.
Hi, Kristen Hall, PCEA co-president. and Park City High School school counselor. I'd like you to read mine.
Oh, no, you're good.
As always, thank you for our continued partnership and the strong positive relationship we share. We appreciate the district's responsiveness to teacher needs and its commitment to fostering healthy and supportive working environments. At a statewide UEA event last weekend, it was encouraging to hear UEA president and former high school social studies teacher Renee Pinkney speak highly of her experience negotiating with the district. Later, former PCA president and current vice president Mary Morgan echoed the same sentiment. The collaborative relationship between the district and PCEA is recognized and highlighted across the state. As we prepare for the upcoming negotiations, PCEA is committed to maintaining that positive precedent by working together to support educators, recognizing that when teachers are valued, students thrive. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Leila. You're on.
I had my first meeting with the Friends of the Library Board at Park City Library as the new student representative. So we're very excited to start trying to bridge the gap between high schoolers and the library. And we just want to make sure everybody knows all the amazing resources they have. We also just completed candy buyback. We got around 382 pounds of candy, which if you're not familiar, to go to the elementary schools, and in exchange for 1 pound of candy, they get either $1 or a toy, and then we send that candy off to the soldiers, so that's on the way right now. And then for Souls for Souls, it's finished now, and we got around 395 pairs of shoes and a lot of clothes, so that turned out really good. The talent show is coming up. We had auditions yesterday. I think everybody made it. We tried out. And the talent show will be on December 19th during school as an assembly. We also had the Dia de los Muertos event from LIA. They did an amazing job. The dances they choreographed were beautiful. The food was amazing. All the activities and the decorations. If you were able to go, you were very lucky. I think everybody came together during that night. It was amazing to witness. We also have the 9 to 5 musical coming up. On Thursday, it's at 7 p.m. Friday, 7 p.m. as well, and then Saturday, it's 2:30 and 7 p.m. in Eccles. We also have the Someone Special Dance coming up. That's for kindergarten through 4th grade and especially grown up of their choice. It's 3 p.m. on December 12th. And it's $10 for one guardian and a child, so we're really excited about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a decision items. And first we have the district calendar.
Yeah, so I'll speak to it. I would recommend that we only adopt the FY27 calendar. Not the 3-year calendar, because I can already see where we're gonna bump up against the PC, which we do not want to do again. We want to be good community partners and not schedule a PD day the same day as the give. So if you click on the FY27 calendar, I'll walk you through just a couple of changes. The first day of school would be Wednesday, August 19th. It would not be a Monday. That was clear across the board. It didn't matter if you were support staff, principal, teacher, parent, student, no one was in support of starting on a Monday. You'll notice in September, there are 2 holidays, the first one being Labor Day on a Monday, and then the recognition of Yom Kippur on the 21st. So there are 2 Monday holidays in September. We return back to a normal fall break in October on the 15th and 16th. That 23rd is a PD day. So no students, but staff would report. November, we maintain the same Thanksgiving break as we have in the past. We have 2 weeks at December and January for the winter break. A noted change would be January 4th, where we are extending that winter break, but teachers are coming back on the 4th for PD day. When we met in calendar committee, the parents said, our kids are just coming back to school on the 4th, and then you're gonna have them out again on the 8th. Why not just extend the winter break? So teachers and staff will return on the 4th for a PD day. but students will still be out and they'll come back on the fifth. Maintaining the full February break. March 26th is a built-in snow day, but if we don't need it, it will be a PD day for our staff. Full second week of April is spring break, and then again on May 28th, a built-in snow day. That's the Friday before Memorial Day. So in the event we don't need it, it would extend that Memorial Day weekend for our families. Staff would still report for PD day, and then the last day of school would be June 4th. So if you choose to adopt and approve this calendar, that would set the stage for us to then create year 2, year 3 calendar, so our families have a 3-year look into what our calendar will entail. There are some tricky situations with, I believe, 27, 28, 29, just where the Jewish holidays fall. It happens to fall on a Monday after, I believe, fall break, so they just get an extra day. So it'd be a Thursday, Friday, and a Monday. Not a big deal, one more day.
So how about Easter?
Easter for this year, it just so happens that or for next year, that March 26th date happens to fall on Good Friday. So families would be out, but staff would report.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay, this is gargantuan task.
Yes. Fridays, we will still have early outs. We are not changing that, so we'll still have early release on Fridays. The biggest change is those embedded PD days, and trying to spread them out over the course of a calendar year. Teachers will return on the 12th, and what we've said is any dedicated PD that needs to be district or site directed would occur on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. On the 17th and 18th, those are protected classroom times. So teachers can be in their classroom working to prepare to welcome students. We're currently having internal dialogue around Monday, the 17th, potentially hosting open or back to school and open house nights. That would give teachers one more day after hosting the open house night to ensure they're ready to welcome students back on the 19th. So trying to be strategic and intentional about how we're scheduling PD as well as some of the breaks within our calendar.
So it's been a long time since I had to register or have my kids go to school, so they do that all electronically now, they don't go into the buildings?
But that is nice to have a back to school night, give the teachers a break the next day, and not have it be a really long school day and back to that night.
Yes. We're also having dialogue about parent-teacher conferences. How can we stagger them instead of having them fall on top of each other? We saw some impact with our outreach and translation services because we were scheduled over the top of one another, but we will sort that out. And to go back, they do have to go in to check out laptops and things of that nature. But a lot of the registration can occur.
Don't have to stand in those long lines, they're missing out.
You got a parent doesn't stand there with a check?
And I've shared this with several individuals. We are looking at moving to a semester K-12 instead of a semester, quarter system, trimester system. A survey will go out to staff the first week of December to see how they feel about that. We would still
What about red and white days?
that's another conversation. We would send home progress reports in that October parent-teacher conference windows. But in terms of PD days and grades locking, it would happen at the semester instead of at the quarter. We would likely still have an anomaly with the college and career awareness class at Ecker Hill. They would maintain the trimester because they rotate between 3 teachers. But we've already been doing that, so that doesn't require us to do anything different. As far as the red-white days, that will also be a part of the calendar, a consistent red-white schedule, and if there's support for that. It could look like Monday, Wednesday is always red, Tuesday, Thursday is always white. Friday is where it gets tricky. It may not always be red, white on a Friday because we want to balance out the number of red, white days in the calendar.
I think it would be worth it as a parent.
Yes. For kids, for teachers, for parents, I think for.
Check our Fridays.
Yes. So I believe personally there's more pros than cons to making that shift to semesters as well as the consistent red, white days, but obviously we want to get feedback from the people who are living it, breathing it day in and day out.
But when we make a decision for next school year.
Yes, we have to make a decision by January because tech has to do a lot of heavy lifting on the back end. It will make Trisha's life easier if we go to semesters.
I can't speak to power schools.
Yes, but, yes, the intent is that we make that decision by January, which is when the survey is gonna go out when we return from Thanksgiving break. Lila, as a student, consistent red, white schedule?
I support it in my opinion. It just gets tricky with Fridays. You said.
Yes, yeah, Fridays will be the tricky, it may not always be what it.
Might have 2 white days.
What
Yes.
about getting rid of that?
Not
Nice try.
We're gonna have to start till then, July. We could do that.
Year-round school.
Yeah. It's gonna go for a while. Okay, now we're just voting
So
on.
my recommendation would be just to vote on this 26-27 calendar as presented.
And we'll come back.
And then we'll reconvene the calendar committee and likely bring you the other 2 years in January, February.
Can I make a suggestion when they do the other calendars, since we are taking into consideration other religious holidays? That we take into consideration Good Friday and hopefully Thursday for the people that are
Okay,
Catholic.
I can bring that up with the group.
Or ready to do the thing?
Then I make a motion to approve the calendar we have all just looked at.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, awesome.
It's amazing how much time we spend with meetings talking about calendar.
Okay, Randy.
Yes, next item is the Sharp easement. This is a easement on the 55 acre parcel, which is west of Silver Summit. And they're requesting an easement to get to a landlocked piece of property. As presented, they've already agreed to it and signed it. It's been in the works for several years. It's good to finally get you there, so I would recommend approval of this easement.
We do just have that date issue in there.
Yes.
Yes,
Look at that, which can we motion to approve it with that date amendment?
as of November 18th.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
then I make a motion to approve the Sharp with the date amendment.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want me to sign it today?
Yeah, we'll just sign that page. We'll just change the front page.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Okay.
We're for it.
Okay, and then, so we're back to open and closed schools. What was the language?
Who remembers the most?
We're making a motion.
To open for February.
Open enrollment starting November 15th. Right?
Yeah, which was 3 days ago. So the motion is to open all schools
Uh-huh.
during the early enrollment period, which is till February 1st.
Oh,
After which, once applications are received, the information will be brought back to the board for final decision. But noting to the public that those classes designated right now with 10 kids or less of available space there's a high chance that they would not be accepted in those grades.
Well, then I make a motion to do exactly what Randy just said.
No.
We have a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I've got some other things I'm gonna approve.
Yeah, kids in the district.
Not on the calendars or on the agenda. Okay, next up, we've got policies for posting. The following policies have been reviewed by the policy committee and are now before the board for posting. Policy 3004, student membership, policy 4005, purchasing procedures, policies 10,005, entrance age and qualifications, policy 10,010, student enrollment, and policy 11,005, public information and media access.
I make a motion to approve policies for posting as stated.
Second.
Any discussion?
A discussion item for 3004 would be, and I sent this to you guys in an email, but I'll explain it in person. So there's no longer a minimum school day requirement in code. That was removed in 2020. Our current policy says 2 hours for kinder, and then 1 through 12 is 4 hours. And that was written back when we had half-day kinder. My recommendation is we set a 4-hour minimum K-12. To ensure if we ever needed to do an early release, it would count as a full school day. And it would be uniform for all families across all of our schools versus one grade level's this and then another grade level is that.
So in code, there is no
There is-
time requirement anymore,
There is
but
not
there's still the requirement.
180 days.
And not what one day
That-
counts.
yeah.
as. It'd be 10 minutes.
So we.
So do
could
we,
just-
do we actually need to put anything in at all as well? So can we just
You
strike that
don't.
completely?
However, if we find ourselves in a situation where we've got to do an early release for whatever reason, we want to be able to qualify how that day is going to be counted,
We're having a higher standard than the state. That's what makes a day.
which is typical for us, right? State says.
God bless you. Okay, I agree.
Additionally, if we were ever to need, let's say they're predicting a significant snowfall overnight and we know it's gonna impact the morning commute. Prior boards were not in favor of remote learning or online learning. I would recommend we have something in place for Fridays because you can't call a late start on a Friday. It just with the shortened schedule, it doesn't work. And that would be the only day that we would pivot to remote learning. Monday through Thursday, we can easily call a 2-hour delayed start. You can't really do that on Friday. We have a plan. The thing that we would need to do is coordinate device distribution to elementary schools, which they are in their classroom. So it's simply the teacher handing out devices to students. And maybe they decide we don't want devices to go home, so we're gonna send a packet or a workbook home. But I would like us to have something in place. You know, let's say we have a gas leak and we have to pivot to remote learning. The last thing we want to do is tack on an additional day like we did in 2023 after the last day of school and no one shows up on that day. So we can write that into policy or it just becomes a procedure underneath policy 3004.
So, discussions and the policy committee. I don't know how teachers feel about at elementary level remote learning. We might need to get some feedback from them.
And it's gonna be asynchronous. It's not gonna be like your teacher's gonna be on Zoom at 8:30, so you need to log on.
And I don't know how it is in our community. If there is a snow day, the parents still have to go to work. So how does an elementary school student, how do you encourage an elementary school to get online when they want to be outside? Or even a middle school kid that wants to go on the hill.
They can still go up on the hill and save learning for the afternoon. And it may be something we wanna get some input and feedback from the community, because it's been several years since we had this conversation. I just don't wanna find ourselves in the situation we did in 2023.
Yeah, I think it's so rare, and this came up in 2023 because we felt like the first time ever had 2 snow days in a year, right? And we didn't have a facility to cope with that. And we couldn't get a waiver from the state, right? Because they said, well, you didn't have the.
You didn't bed your snow
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. So this whole conversation originally came up around that, and it's making sure that in the vanishingly rare situation where we need to have an extra day where kids can't be in school, that, you know, we have an option so that we can still keep the calendar closing on June 4th or whatever it was.
I do feel like the elementary teachers have been very clear, they really would like that option. Because they came to board meetings and they like gave examples of what they would do, and I do feel like they support an online version.
And again, this would be,
Yeah.
the storm
That's
happens
rare.
on Friday. I mean, we are talking about a very rare
Yeah,
situation.
but Thursday overnight, basically,
Yes.
into Friday morning.
Because we know, I can't remember what year it happened, but there was a bad snowstorm on Friday. You couldn't call it a late start, so nobody really showed up. And then we had a power outage, I believe, at the high school, for the kids who did show up. Yes. Yes. But at least having a plan for Fridays, knowing that Monday through Thursday, a 2-hour delayed start would likely be the call.
Didn't they write that in here? Cause I didn't remember seeing it.
Yeah, so we have, it's called an instructional continuity plan, and we update it every year. Can't say that everyone reads it. Except for Amy and Trisha. So we likely need to revisit it with our principals and our teachers to make sure, everyone's on board and there's not places where revisions might need to occur.
It's not gonna be part of this policy, it's gonna be.
No,
Procedure in the.
yeah, it's just a procedure.
Okay. But in this policy, we'll have that we're gonna call a day, 4 hours.
We could, so my recommendation is maybe we send this one back to policy committee. If this group is comfortable adding that 4-hour minimum language, and revising the ICP to make sure it's in line with what does it actually look like when we implement it.
Can we get back to the Friday thing real quick? Because we do have 2 snow days built
We
into the
do.
calendar, right? So we're actually not even talking about a storm on a Friday. We're talking about a situation where we had two snow days and then we had a Friday, Thursday night storm.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be a late season Thursday night storm, bad enough. I mean, it's,
It could happen.
it could, but I mean.
It happened in 2023, right?
Okay, so you wanna
Send it back.
take this one
So I
back.
send this one back so we
Those
can
are 4
read the
hours.
language, add the 4 hours, refine the emergency closure, delayed start, or online learning language, and then we'll bring it back next month. Or maybe even January. So I don't know that we have policy committee next month. I can't remember. I think we do.
So we're just gonna say,
So we have to pull that out.
we're gonna make a motion to approve the policies minus this one.
Which one are we?
Two, the 304.
Three.
004.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve policies for posting with the exception of 3004.
Correct. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We get that? All on track, okay. Next up, we have policies for adoption. We have policy 7096 LEA specific licenses and policy 9027 child nutrition policies.
I make a motion to approve those 2 policies for adoption.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And next up, we have a policy to retire, a policy that we had a lot of discussion about. The policy 9026 vending.
All move to retire.
Vending machine.
Any discussion?
No.
I'm not going against the nutrition director and the doctor.
Okay, all in favor of
Aye.
referring?
Aye.
All right.
Maybe Kathleen's in charge of
That's the end of that.
Nice to meet you. Do we need a motion to adjourn? I make a motion to adjourn as our next regularly scheduled meeting.
In December.
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.